Hey everyone, it's Kristen. So I felt compelled to wear this shirt again, considering what we're talking about today, and you'll see why in a minute. So for yesterday and today, it's Natasha, which I've talked about her a lot. So I feel like, especially I've talked about her extensively. So I'm going to talk about Yelena a little bit. So of course she's in the Thunderbolts movie, and she was in the Black Widow movie. And they in the movies they're like sisters, kind of, that they were raised in the Red Room like together. And of course in the comic books they weren't in the Red Room at the same time. But of course Yelena knows about Natasha because she has this reputation, and Yelena feels like she should be the one who has the Black Widow title. So the first time she meets Natasha and confronts her, she tries to kill her in order to take that title for herself. It's interesting because Yelena actually appeared in a sketch as a sketch before she appeared in comic books. So like a year before she appeared in Humans 5, she was in like the Marvel Knights sketchbook. So the first time that when Natasha and Yelena met, Natasha, recognizes the Red Room training, and she kind of tells Yelena she should really think for herself. And Yelena kind of takes this to heart, and even though she's still loyal to the Russian Federation because they made her, she actually decides to retire to Cuba and become a businesswoman and a model. So, go figure. And then she becomes part of Shield, and one of her like assignments is to like guard the vibranium that's in the Savage Land, and Sauron actually like disfigures her really badly, and so she's approached by Hydra to say, hey, do you want revenge on Shield for what happened to you? And so the AIM scientists working for Hydra actually change her to where she has kind of become a like super adaptoid. She can copy powers. So she copies the Avengers' powers, but is eventually defeated by Iron Man and Sentry. AIM deactivates her anyway because they put like this device implanted in her to where they can like switch her off and stuff. So she is actually, out of commission at that point. Natasha, so it's interesting because Yelena has been part of two Thunderbolts teams, but the first time was Natasha posing as Yelena at the direction of Nick Fury to join Norman Osborn's, Thunderbolts, to basically keep an eye on him. And the second time was because Yelena was revived by AIM, but then they accidentally mistakenly shot her and killed her. I mean, it's AIM. They're not like, even though they're super bright, they're not like super bright. Oh, anyway, so she was revived again, this time in a clone body, and she went around destroying like the remnants of Hydra, and she got the attention of Bucky, the Winter Soldier, and he asked her to join his Thunderbolts team. So she's actually been like kind of a member of two Thunderbolt teams. So, and the reason why I have this shirt on is because we're talking about the son of Satan today, which I'm going to be honest, I definitely did not read this comic when I was a kid because I doubt my parents would have let me. I mean, I grew up not super sheltered, but kind of sheltered. I went to a private school and all that stuff. We had to wear uniforms, like the plaid uniforms. So yeah, my parents would have been like, no. No. Yeah, we're okay with you liking comic books, but not that one. So yeah, I never read that growing up. So this is from Astonishing Tales number 25, the stamp, you can find that. August 74. Stamp also appears in Frankenstein number 9, March 74, and Marvel Team Up number 27, November 74. And this is actually interesting because it comes from Marvel Spotlight number 13. January of 74, art by John Romita Sr. And it says here, Father, stand you back. You shall not invade the earth except over the body of your own son. And then you can see the hand of Satan saying, then so be it. It says, when the devil stalks the earth. So it's a pretty, like I said, pretty dramatic cover. And of course, again, they just took the background stuff out of the picture to make it simpler so that you could see him better. So, interesting thing about him is that, of course, he was born to, Satan, but it's not like Satan, and a mortal woman. Her name was, I think, Victoria. And he also had a sister, Santana. So their dad, who actually turned out to be like a demon named Marduk something. Oh man, I forgot his last name now. Anyway, their father raised them having them grow up, embrace their dark side, embrace the dark arts, which Santana did, but Daimon clung to, humanity. He didn't really want to be involved in that. And then once it was revealed who their father was, the mom, their mom was driven insane. Like she couldn't believe it, and the father was banished back to hell. So I guess since he was, his identity was revealed, he wasn't allowed to be there anymore. So they were put into separate homes, because of course the mom was in a mental institution and she couldn't take care of them anymore. So, Daimon actually grew up in a religious home orphanage, and he grew to be a professor of anthropology, and he studied the occult, and basically grew to be a defender against dark things. He first appeared in Ghost Rider in 1973, I believe, and in that first issue, he fought Satan and the witch woman with Ghost Rider. And so he actually, he's involved in a lot of supernatural dark arts sort of things because, of course, that's who he is. So he joined, he fought with the Fantastic Four before, Ghost Rider, obviously, the Defenders. He joined the Defenders, met Patsy Walker, Hellcat, and they got married, and then they went, I think, to the West Coast Defenders, and actually, his dark soul was stolen by, I think, Mr. Miracle, this magician who convinces everyone he's super powerful, with hypnosis or something. So he stole it, and that is explained to be the pentagram thing that's on his chest. That's his dark soul. And so he kind of had explained to Patsy who he was, but she didn't, I think, really understand. But without his dark soul, part of him, he was actually dying. And so she found this book that he had, and with it she used it to summon Satan and basically beg him for Daimon's life. So he says basically the only way for him to live is he has to merge back with his dark soul. So he does, and Patsy is horrified to see his evil form, and so she goes insane. And she only later becomes sane enough to realize what she's done. She is really upset she brought this evil back into the world, and so she commits suicide. So Damien's able to defeat his father by using his real name. Like I said, I can't remember what the last name is. So Sorry about that. And so he's able to let the like Avengers resurrect Patsy. And basically he pushes Patsy away because he feels like she's better off without him. Even though of course he still loves her. He feels like she's better off. Like they shouldn't be together. So he tells her all kinds of lies and stuff. He pretends to be oh, Dazzler's over there. He pretends to be the son of Satanish, who's actually the son of Dormammu. And he also pretends to be that so that he can claim, like, his place in the hierarchy, so he can, take over those, like, dark realms or dark dimensions of hell. But without either of those two backing him up on his claim, Mephisto is able to take over instead. And so he, like I said, he is involved in a lot of supernatural stories. In one of his stories, he fights zombies, which with the Midnight Suns, which I did not read those stories because, well, you know how I feel about zombies. I'm not a fan. Not a fan at all. No, thank you. So I did not read those, but I know they exist. So yeah, he's involved in a lot of supernatural stuff. Like I said, I would not have been allowed to read those comics just because of, what he's called. And really, the term Satan in Marvel comics, especially in this instance, isn't really referring to, like, Satan from the Bible. It's referring to, like, the ruler of, this part of hell, this dimension of hell, or whatever. So, yeah. I guess, yeah, just a brief overview of who he is. And since we had already talked about Black Widow, and I just wanted to briefly talk about Yelena, then that's all for today. I mean, I bet after, like, the last time's, again, like, 30-something minute video, I'm sure this is great. It's hard for me to not talk about X-Men extensively. And I even, like, shortened it. I even condensed it as much as I could. I bet I left stuff out, honestly. But I feel like I hit the highlights of everything that was involved, with Cyclops. So anyway, I hope you will join me in the future for more videos. And until next time, bye.